Her family called her a disappointment, until the president spoke her name. They used to say she wasted her potential. They used to look past her as if she was invisible, a footnote in a family narrative of academic brilliance. They never saw her as a real soldier, only a girl playing dress-up in a world she didn't belong in. But they had no idea what she had already survived. They didn't know about the lives she had held in her hands, the fires she had walked through, or the silent promises she had kept in the heart of chaos. And when the President of the United States spoke her name, the entire room fell silent, including the family who once called her a disappointment. This is the story of a young woman who chose a different path and, in doing so, redefined what it truly means to be a hero. She was born into a world where success wore a lab coat or a tailored suit. In her family's household, excellence wasn't optional. It was the expected, unspoken standard. Her father chaired the economics department at a prestigious university, and her mother was a biochemistry researcher, whose name often appeared in medical journals. Their dinner parties were filled with professors, deans, and visiting scholars, all speaking the same fluent dialect of intellectual achievement. Her older brother had been groomed for greatness since birth, and he never missed a mark. He graduated at the top of his class and was hired straight into a top law firm. She, on the other hand, was always a quieter puzzle. From the outside, she had every advantage: good schools, summer programs, test prep tutors. But something about her spirit didn't fall neatly into the lanes her family had painted for her. They tried to engineer her path anyway, filling her room with periodic tables and anatomy diagrams. The one person who seemed to understand was her grandfather. He had been a combat medic in World War II, a fact the rest of the family rarely mentioned. He spoke not of policy or data, but of dragging wounded men through mud under gunfire. "I didn't save the world in a lab," he once told her, his eyes distant. "I saved it one soldier at a time, right there in the dirt." In high school she did fine, but not exceptional by her family's standards. She was a natural athlete, but medals on a field didn't mean much in her house, unless they came with a perfect GPA. Her SAT scores were solid, but not enough for the Ivy League gates her parents had always envisioned. During her senior year, an army recruiter visited her high school. The recruiter was a woman in uniform who spoke not of benefits, but of purpose, of being the difference between life and death when it mattered most. That conversation echoed louder than any college acceptance letter. After one semester at a state university, attending classes she didn't care about, the quiet sense of dread she'd carried for years turned to clarity. She wasn't going to medical school. She wasn't following the family plan. She was enlisting. She told her parents over dinner. The silence hit first, then her father's bitter laugh. "The military? Is that what you think of yourself? That you couldn't make it anywhere else?" Her mother whispered, "We gave you everything," as if her choice was a betrayal. But it was her brother's reaction that cut deepest. He laughed out loud. "Playing soldier, come on, you really think they'll hand you a rifle and send you to save lives? You'll be filing paperwork in camo." "I'm going to be a combat medic," she said quietly, her voice trembling but resolute. Basic training was brutal, but it didn't break her. For the first time, no one cared who her family was. They cared if she could lift, run, carry, and endure. She thrived, earning quiet nods from the instructors. One even told her, "You've got the hands and the head for this work, but more important, you've got the heart." When she came home for Christmas, she wore her uniform with pride. Her posture had changed, her eyes had seen hard things. Her family didn't notice. Her mother asked when this little phase would be over. Her brother smirked from the couch. "The uniform's cute, but let's be real." They asked no questions, showed no curiosity. Her father steered every conversation back to her brother's law firm. By the time she returned to base, she knew they would never understand the value in what she was becoming. She was truly on her own. Her medical training grew deeper. She learned to insert IVs in complete darkness, to assess wounds under simulated mortar fire. Her hands stayed steady under pressure. Her mind mapped protocols faster than most. She wasn't chasing her brother's shadow anymore. She wasn't even in the same race. When she was assigned to the 10th Mountain Division for deployment to Afghanistan, her family's detachment was palpable. "Just keep your head down," her father said. "No heroics. No, be safe. No, we're proud of you. No care packages arrived, no letters. She found a new family in her unit, the kind that stayed up on watch beside you, that shared hot sauce packets from MREs, that knew what it meant when someone went quiet for too long. Her squad leader, a tough but fair sergeant, became her first true mentor. "You've got it," she once said. "Not just the skill, you've got the fire." 3 months into deployment, that fire was tested. Their convoy was ambushed by an IED. She didn't wait. She sprinted into the chaos. The staff sergeant was trapped in the wreckage, bleeding profusely. She pulled him out under fire, her hands working to stop the bleed while her voice kept him grounded. He was still alive when the medevac arrived. She received a commendation medal for valor. She called home that night, still buzzing with adrenaline. "That's nice, dear," her mother said, before changing the subject to her brother making junior partner at his firm. It wasn't even disappointment anymore. It was a complete and utter disconnect. Her reputation as an unshakably good medic grew. She treated everything from gunshot wounds to heat stroke. Infantry soldiers, often skeptical, started asking for her by name. She was promoted to sergeant 6 months ahead of schedule, but back home her story remained invisible. Her second deployment was to a more dangerous region. Before leaving, she called home one last time, not out of hope, just habit. "Try not to be reckless," her father said. They talked about her brother's engagement party. When she hung up, she wrote a letter to herself to be opened if she didn't make it back. "You chose this path," she wrote. "Your worth isn't measured by their understanding." 6 months into that deployment, her commanding officer nominated her for a transfer to a special operations medical team. She passed every assessment, psychological, physical, tactical. She was selected. On this new team, no one cared about her background. They only cared if she could keep a soldier alive when everything went wrong. One night the call came. American aid workers had been taken hostage. Her team of 12 geared up. She was the only medic. 20 minutes out, their lead chopper was hit by ground fire and crashed. When her vision cleared, she heard screams. She moved, stabilizing the pilot and another injured soldier while bullets whistled nearby. They were surrounded. For 4 hours they held their position. She kept the injured alive, performing an emergency needle decompression on one, crawling through dirt and shrapnel to treat another. Then her captain called out that they needed coordinates for an airstrike, and she had the only line of sight. She crawled into the open, took a bullet graze to the helmet and called in the strike. The jets bought them time. When they were flanked, a grenade exploded nearby, sending shrapnel through her leg. She didn't stop. She dragged another wounded soldier to cover, sealed his chest wound, and sat over him as rounds pelted the ground. After 48 hours of moving through the night, they reached the extraction point. She had kept 4 people alive, but what no one knew yet was that the intelligence she had transmitted during those hours would lead to the rescue of all the hostages and disrupt multiple enemy plots. Her injury took her off the line, and she was sent stateside for rehab. The mission was classified. Officially, it didn't happen. Her family never asked about the wound. "Maybe this is a sign to pursue something more stable," her father said. What they couldn't know was that the mission wasn't over. Her intel had led to a follow-up raid, rescuing all 27 hostages. A Purple Heart arrived in the mail. No fanfare, no press. A few months later, she was summoned to the Pentagon. "Sergeant," a general said, "you're being awarded the Distinguished Service Cross. The President will present it himself next week." The ceremony was held in the East Room of the White House. Her family sat in the back, stiff and out of place in the sea of uniforms. When her name was called, the room stilled. The citation was read, detailing her valor, the lives saved, the intelligence that rescued 27 hostages. The President stepped forward, placing the medal around her neck. "My brother was one of those hostages," he said quietly. "My family owes you more than we can repay." He then raised his voice for the room to hear, extolling her courage, before offering a sharp salute. The applause was thunderous. Her family didn't move. For the first time they saw her. The slow path to reconciliation began with her father visiting her apartment unannounced, asking to see where she worked. It continued with her mother sending care packages, including a photo of her grandfather and his medals, with a note, "He would have been proud. I should have said that sooner." Her brother began volunteering legal aid for veterans. They were still far from close, but they were no longer pretending. If you believe that a person's worth is defined by their courage and character, not by the expectations of others, please subscribe to our channel. By sharing stories like this, we honor the quiet heroes who walk among us and remind the world that true potential cannot be measured by conventional standards.